All right, real quick here. I'm on my phone. So Lily, what's her name? Tried to. I was going to post something, but I'm just going to say something. So Senator Lily Tellez, if I'm saying it right, or Tellez, I don't know, directly accuses Claudia Sheinbaum and Morena having turned Mexico into a narco state. So again, I'm probably one of the first people to use the term narco state, narco terrorism. But again, if that causes, again, what is expedient? So if that causes consternation, you could let the government up a little bit and say, well, if we get away from that, and we'll get away from that for now, the methods that the government of Mexico is using, even when it uses military, it's not a military, generally not a military operation, which means strategically. You're engaging in tactical military operation without a strategic purpose, which is a police action, which is law enforcement. If we in the United States had entities moving like that, military would wipe them out. There'd be no talk of we have to take them to court. I mean, yeah, if we get there. Again, it's unlawful enemy combatant. It's insurgency. So you get to the argument that there's better strategies because these are insurgencies. The nation of Mexico is beleaguered by several entities that are controlling real estate. So that's where I guess a senator, where the senators should go, I guess, in Mexico. Well, just demand a new strategy. Again, politically, it works to say that, and you could probably bank on maybe somebody in her party being elected president. Right. So the senators that are opposing the president's strategy should say such things. Again, the idea of it being a narco state is probably true, or is true, I guess. Again, like what the Vatican is to Catholicism, Mexico is to heroin and fentanyl. So the idea is that we need to move forward to a strategy that is commensurate with the threat. That's the point. Now, like I said, look at all the vehicles that were destroyed. So your generals have to move also. And they have to look at what it cost Mexico in all these vehicles being destroyed. These F-150. Somebody, I guess Mila Joy was her name or something. There's somebody, one of the talking heads, I guess they call them influencers now. She was saying, like, here comes Mexico in the F-150s. Now, yeah, I guess they're about F-450s or something. 350s, I guess. Well, the not Mexico, but the or not the government, but the cartels, they'll turn them in like F-350s into armored vehicles. Right, so you need to get armored vehicles. Again, if they destroy 4 F-150s, you can buy a very nice armored vehicle. F-150s aren't cheap either. And I think they're 4x4s, a lot of them. So they're very expensive, and you're wasting your money. And again, once you obtain a contract, a larger purchase contract, they'll give you a better price per vehicle. I guess Bearcat or something like that. At least, the Striker is really what they want. Well, Biden kind of depleted us there. We don't have our surplus where we need it. Right? It should have been sent to Mexico starting 2015. Part of Haiti's problem is Mexico and the narco wealth there. El Salvador says the same thing. They handled it. So, well, I don't know how many. I guess she has some years left, Scheinbein, but I guess, or Scheinbaum. Well, I guess, Lily Telez's party, if I'm saying it right. Oh, Tellez, maybe. I don't know. I have to look it up, see what else said. I guess it's in this news article here. But I imagine they're going to attempt to find some way there, maybe with the next president, too. I'm just going down the list here of what people were posting. Nothing makes much sense. Right, the psychological operation they're using against Scheinbaum may actually, at this point, this is the weird part, is actually a narco operation. But right. But, so you have to be careful how the senators draft what they're doing. You don't want to be empowering the narcos to take Scheinbaum down while she's actually doing something right. Correct. So, again, if you engage in an operation to take El Mencho out, you got to take El Smencho out, El Tencho, El Nencho, El Buencho, all the way down the line. You can't just let it play. That's playing a game. In fact, there could be a narco in Mexico that's poised to take over. Just like when El Mencho took over when El Chapo disappeared. So, taking out El Mencho may have actually also been approved by some narco somewhere who says, yeah, I'll be the next narco. I'll be the next narco king. They may have wanted to move Mencho out of the way. Probably may have paid millions. Somebody could have paid $100 million to take El Mencho out, like another narco. Damn the reward, right? Well, it involves a lot of work. It involves civil affairs. So again, let's get back to the basic idea that the generals need to look at what it's costing, and the law enforcement commanders, chiefs, whatever they are, attorney generals. Right. You have to look at what it's costing you to have these basic vehicles destroyed. I mean, something like that. I don't know how many vehicles were lost. You lost. Okay, so you have the vehicle loss, but you also have the person loss. So you lost 25 people, and maybe you'd have lost a few, but you wouldn't have lost that many if they were in armored vehicles. So you got to replace, 25 officers, and just in that one operation that wouldn't necessarily be lost if they were in armored vehicles. So when you look at the cost of what an F-150, like 3 F-150s cost you, and then the loss of 20, I don't know how many, a few people, let's say per 3 vehicles, we would have lost, 4 people or whatever. Well, you keep replacing your F-150s. You're keeping Ford in business. And they're only keeping Ford in business if they're selling armored vehicles. Because they'll just buy more and more until we replace all the F-150s, or a majority of them. There's other vehicles, too, that look more like an F-150 that aren't as armored, but I'd go, because the cartel is going to go to the level of armament that's required to neutralize what's protecting the officers in the military. But the idea is this: once they get to a certain level, then they'll be destroyed, and it becomes more difficult to obtain that kind of weaponry. To pierce through a F-150 is nothing, right? But it doesn't cost them that much. And of course, they'll have explosives and things. But again, we were moving great at a certain point, but again, the corruption killed us. And a lot of people died. I mean, this is a horrific number of officers in the military that died for nothing, really, at this point. We have to keep starting over from ground zero. You don't have the vehicles and the armament to do it. But you essentially need like A-10s. Did we take those finally offline? They keep trying to kill those things. Send them to Mexico. I'm serious. If you have A-10s and mothballs, send them to Mexico. With a chip that we can shut them down if they try to turn them on us. Call DNI. She has to shut down the A-10s. Mexico's using them on our people. We have to do something. We can't continue on where we are.
Agreed.
I'm running several investigations. I can't. They're personal. I mean, somebody's around me. I do this when they come up around me. No, I know they're there. The question is, what is their intention? It's not legal. It's never legal. Not even pseudo legal. So again, the idea with missing exploited children that they would be pseudo legal, but they took that extra unaccountability and ran with it in the wrong direction. Money. Right. Money and blackmail. They were extorted, have a choice, But again, a lot of the extortion is fishing expeditions. It's not real. It's a psychological operation to, again, you could use it to find a person's crime, but again, it's investigating a person versus a crime. But they don't do it for that. They use it to deplete the person, to make them afraid. Right. It got to the point where they actually showed me how corrupt the government was. That they could actually charge you for something that you didn't do. It didn't get outside of, I think, the Mars. It actually did get outside the Mars service, but that's where they wanted to show it to me. Well, because their fishing expedition wasn't going anywhere. So they drugged me, and then they started this thing showing me how people could just make wild statements and it'll stick. No, I'm not anti-government. I'm anti-corruption. I'm not anti-religion. I'm anti-devil. Right. That's really where it got to, and that's when they killed John. He couldn't deal with it. So again, what they're doing to the mayor in Butler County, Ohio, I'm almost positive. You're a very volatile county and city. Not even a city. It's not a city. It's a village. The village people of Butler. Now, years ago, Years ago, I probably didn't have as resolute opinion as I do. I thought people had more of a personal responsibility not to commit the crime. As far as even when the deep state attached, I didn't. But again, there but by the grace of God go I. So again, when I realized, hey, this is the only thing that really saved me was God. Even the fact that maybe I had some sapper training and things like that, that's God preparing me for that day when the devil would come in earnest through government employees and narcos and sex traffickers, foreign nationals being given my way in life to destroy my way. So again, it sounds good. Minority Small Business Association, minority or administration, minority this, minority preference that. But it turns out that if you're from Mexico or Honduras or Venezuela and you get that citizenship, well, actually, they were giving it without a citizenship. Right. They were getting preference because they're people of color. So you're a Small Business Administration, and they were getting paid to kill us, along with these deep state people like Comey and his cronies, Tenet and his cronies. Yeah, I'd stay away from the what they call it, the rhino thing. You need the rhinos because you really can't administer anything without rhinoism. Right. Or administer certain things. Well, because of the way you drafted rhino. Well, because you do need some programs. You can't get rid of all programs. Like I said, some of the cuts you made is going to cost you a lot more money in the end. And in the end, it's never nice. No, there's only certain things that work. Like Democrats will say I'm a conservative. Conservatives will say I'm a liberal because I don't toe the party line because that doesn't work. That's how they destroyed the United States, by polarizing and radicalizing. No, we're destroyed pretty much. Nothing golden age happening here. Maybe you'll get it on. We'll see. So you have to be careful of that. The golden age is there. Yeah, the golden age for you people that own gold. We don't own gold. It was stolen from us. Sent to Honduras, Nicaragua. And other such places of narco-dumb. Now something kept fighting me on buying a keyboard and a mouse. I bought a couple, at least the keyboard I won't be opening for the next keyboard. I'm going and purchasing it from someplace other than Amazon. There's too many people watching my Amazon purchases and cursing me while I'm shopping. But part of it is the LDS, and I don't know exactly how they fit in, but I know they're there. Well, what happens is now I got to go to Cranberry. It's like, oh, he's coming for us. And they'll write it up like there's questions about what he's doing. No question. Sexualizing me in church. Oh, my God. But when they first did it, I didn't know. I was asleep. I was like the mayor there. And I mean, not that I effectuated the crime, but I was dumb like the mayor over there in Butler. Now, everywhere you go is a sexualization scenario. There's no longer any normal life. And in fact, if you don't change in some way, they torture you more. So eventually your subconscious overrides your outer self. Like we call it other things like aversion and, attention deficit or whatever, but this is what these people are actually working off of. They took clinical psychology, learned what was causing it, what was causing various mental illnesses, and then they do it in a psychological operation. And then the outcome is, is not so sunny. And they're doing it from churches. There's no doubt that woman was attempting to sexualize me in church. I had it done to me. Actually, there's in Turnpike Baptist Church also I had it done. Had it done in New Freedom Baptist Church. Had it done in Turnpike Baptist Church. Had it done in, what's that other one? I didn't stay as long as I guess some knows. Or get as involved also. Grace Fellowship in Cockeysville. Have money people. Dirty money people. Probably also extorted for their actual sexual crimes. I don't think it's a join the club sex cult thing. And she wasn't attracted. So they want to go to they just can't handle women. This is same F's like Rick Henry, Karen Shelton. This kind of shit they say. They should have been taken out back at a courthouse and shot. That's how bad they were. That's what do you call that? Euphemism or something. Quite frankly, we use that in the Marshal Service quite a bit, taking somebody somewhere and shooting them. They should be shot. Not that we do it. Right. So then they go, well, with all these people, I'll go to Maimonides, the famous rabbi, who's actually Sephardic and Arabic. I've never seen, the Ashkenazis are crazy. Well, they hate, a lot of them hate Arabs. A lot of them are neutral to Arabs. I'm probably the first Jew to be so forward in helping Arabs and Islamic people. But besides the nutzos, what are they called? The Torah Jews are a little bit over the line. They're in Nutsoville. Well, Hashem will not have you stand in the middle of traffic. That's the first sign that you're over the edge. Right? Unless they block traffic. They're beating us. Get out of the road. Same thing as with the ICE people, the anti-ICE. Get out of the road and they won't beat you. Again, the Torah tells you not to stand in the middle of traffic, even if you're protesting. Right. So again, Maimonides said, even if the whole world says something that's false is true, it's still false. Vice versa, vice. So again, a lot of times you're like, well, why did this person get prosecuted? What they know that they won't. It's strange. So this is what happens. They always put officers in there and agents. So they're going to find somebody that's got like 150 cases that are highly sensitive cases the government tried. Well, they used to arrest them, and then they found out all their cases get overturned. It's happening right now in a couple cases, or a couple cases of officers. Well, these people in the missing exploited children, what do you think they're touching on? How many cases? And what kind of cases? See? That's why you never hear about it. Because the government's not willing to lose those 150 cases. So they just, again, the same thing as Mexico. It's all the same shit. Well, because then it comes up again, right? Because you don't take care of it when it's time to take care of it. That's how it got so big. No, the people that did me are there's probably thousands of cases are involved with it, at least. That doesn't make them okay. In fact, it brings into question every case. And then, it's unfortunate that that individual acted out. But I don't fault him. I would say he's probably under spycraft attack. I guarantee you have people within your conservative ranks that may even call them a rhino. But they're actually, they're not liberal and they're not conservative, because again, once you put them in those terms, they all of a sudden are part of something bigger. They're self-serving devils. They're part of criminal enterprise. They're part of foreign nations. There's Republicans that are part of foreign nations. Trump has to be careful because sometimes he's in that direction because he's being worked and his administration is being worked over by spies. So they got this new push to go after the pedophile. It's a scam. Democrats know that scam. You got to remember, again, I'm not a big political partyist, but the Democrats are jumping on this thing. Who actually protected Epstein? Who actually protected Ed Buck? And there's others that you don't even know about because they're focusing on those two. Democrats. The Bush administration tried to, again, the same thing you see happening with ICE here and anti-ICE. They tried to go after Epstein. What do you think happened? The operators went after them. Again, people are not wrong when the government doesn't protect them from spies and they succumb to the spy effort. Right. Naples, Florida is part of it. You said it welcomed me in the community, get me into some spiritual place, and finding a wife, they wanted to sexualize me and send young girls after me. And a couple young boys. Now that I think back. Right. Now I'll tell you, those young girls and young boys probably have issues in life, sexual issues. Right. Maybe to the point of sexually transmitted diseases, maybe raping another. Because the goal and the will and the curses and the spells in that operation involves a minor. And the minor may not experience it then and there, but somewhere in their life, it'll unblock. And again, like I said, a lot of times it came up. You can tell, I worked around a lot of lesbian law enforcement, and I treated them great. I'm the type of person, okay, I'll treat you better than everyone else because I know you're dealing with it. Now, I didn't have a reciprocation, but they say they're beating him like a redheaded Larry. All right. A redheaded step Larry. Right. But I see it. I said, okay, I'm not hanging out with anyone. You fooled me a couple times. I chatted with a couple young people online. None of it's sexual. There was one bait thing, but that was something else. And that was legal age. But I didn't send photos of myself or anything like that. I did send photos to one person, maybe two. I think one person. I was isolated. I was prepared for it. They prepared me to tear me down. So I'm like working out. It's not a naked photo. It's in a nice tank top and just a side view. It isn't anything sexual, even close to sexual. But you're looking for, again, I had kids. They ripped my family away. Again, they knew what they were doing because they had done it to others. This is the key. It's not about me. It's about their operation and what they get paid to engage in that sexualization and pedophilization operation. I investigated the best I could, and then I had to pull the chute and get out of there because I couldn't sustain as a law enforcement officer. It wasn't about me. It was about the people I was working with. I'm not going to be like, and I was right. Arthur Lloyd, about 2 years later, year and a half to 2 years later, shot somebody. They were doing it to him. And he went to jail for something like 15 years, or got a 15-year sentence. I don't know how much time he did. So again, he's dealing with stuff he doesn't even know. And that's what they bank on. That you don't know what the psychology is moving. And they'll call you stupid and all this stuff. But they're devils. It's not only psychology, it's also witchcraft. That's why the churches are big on, quote unquote superstition. So the CIA devils that drafted all this and put it together with KGB and others and passing money back and forth, they altered your religion so that people really don't know anything. And they actually poo-poo the idea of metaphysics. But yet the scriptures are dripping with metaphysics, but you have to know what you're reading, and only God can show you that. No, I was tortured. This is the point. They're torturing people into becoming pedophiles. If somebody wants you to be a pedophile, they'll hire these people. Or maybe buddy. Now let's take this guy out, this gal out. So again, I saw these little girls coming up with lesbians. And I'm like, you're looking at me and you're running with these, you're the one with them. I'm not with anybody. You're hanging out with young girls and you're a lesbian. And you're man-hating with them. What else are you doing? Sounds a lot like projection. Trying to put that shit on your victims. Get the monkey off all of you and finding an excuse to hang out with young girls. I go to churches and I see men touching other people's kids, and I'm like, what the hell? Other adults touching on other people's kids all the time. Am I weird? No. I know what you're into, all of you. That's why they're able to recruit all of you churches, because you got that shit in your background, all of you. They used a fishing expedition and it worked. They had to torture me for decades for me to say anything. Yeah, remember, this started like in the early 90s, maybe even in the 80s, but again, they couldn't do it much in the 80s. Right. I know it's only one guy in Butler County. He's so effective. That's the point with these people. You see a 79-year-old man with a 15-year-old. They set it up for decades, man. They're sickos. And of course, he happens to be Jewish, so we know where that's coming from. That's why the government needs to say no to pedophile hunters. They're scammers. Now, if you want to regulate it, then maybe. But again, they'll be subject to professional responsibility checks and investigations on a regular basis. Then you also have to look around them, because they're put into something after somebody finishes their operation. So you may have 10 cells that went after a 79-year-old man since he was maybe 50 or something like that. And then when he's 79, all of a sudden he's alone, he's sad. One of them even said, I was hoping she wasn't 50. And she wasn't. Again, metaphysics plays in also. So if you're an adult male sheriff's deputy and you're dirty and you're even just projecting on that person a spell, because remember, law enforcement's a higher platform. So you can exorcise the demons out and you can put those demons in. And you cast a spell on a lonely 79-year-old man, hell awaits. You're hellbound. Now, part of the problem is this whole, what do they call that? Stats. It's a quota system. It's called stats. But it's like a cult thing. Oh, who have you arrested lately? So you get online, you talk to some 9-year-old man that's alone, put a spell on his head, and he does what you want. I know many of you know what it is, because I watch you put those conditions into people's lives, including my own, where I would be susceptible. Can you imagine that? Instead of law enforcement protecting people and protecting people's minds, they're out there making money destroying it. or getting off with, I got a stat. No, they're not. They're low grade people. The majority of people in law enforcement are low grade. It's unfortunate. But again, the whole planet's low grade. Right. So I don't know if they're any different than anyone else. Well, they thought they were funny. They were going to show me their power. The worst they never did, man. Destroyed their whole world. Yeah, but we're rich. You were richer before, had an easier life before being rich. Before you were rich and had an easy life. And nobody knew anything or cared to know anything. So I walk into a church after, how long was it? At least a decade of not being in a church. Probably more than that. Almost a decade and a half. And they bring the woman to put her pussy on me. That's what it's called. You're not a nice woman. You're not Miss LDS Virgin walking down in your flowery, clingy, show my sexuality dress. Right away, I noticed those people. There's something going on here. And again, quite frankly, Oakes saw it also. Right. The question is whether he was part of a larger problem that brings those type of things. If you allow corruption in one place, corruption is going to show up in another place. Corruption's corruption. Now, I have a problem with sexual. I have no problem with. But when you're in church, especially if you're a disabled veteran, they go, "Oh, see, he's a disabled veteran. That's the key." No, it's not. The others went to their death and committed suicide quietly. That's not going to happen here. Right. No matter how many times you torture me. In fact, every time you torture me, I'll get louder. And what you all call the fear of the Lord will get stronger. So a person goes to church for what reason? Have that stuff be removed. They get into a normal relationship with a woman as well. I was there also. There's no doubt I was there to find a woman, and they knew it. So they put their whores in there. Their shiksas, the whores of Babylon, their Delilahs, their Jezebels, and their man friends. And I was there like, 61 years old or 60 years old, sick as the dickens. And I hooked up with their missionaries as far as having studies online, enjoying that. Right. I wasn't getting better, and I'm thinking, it's weird, I'm getting worse. I should at least maintain, Right. They were devilish, man. They were cursing. Waiting for that moment that I might grab a gun and try something. They could shoot me, make their $10 million reward. You think there's awards for El Mencho? You should see the deep state awards, rewards, and awards they don't speak about. Right. If I'd have been in a church they shot me, they'd have given out more money than they gave out for capturing El Mencho if they did give out any. I guarantee it. In fact, just what happened, they probably gave out more money. Was it 50 million? 50 million is nothing. Again, look at the money they sent out of government. Republican and Democrat. 50 million is nothing. Right. Contract here, contract there. And again, they'll send it to the contractor here, who sends it to that person over there, who sends it to that person over there, and ends up in an LDS business. Again, Jody Budge and Sex Cult did the same thing. trying to radicalize me against them. They keep showing them up in my, well, because, a lot of them are out. They're no longer part of it. So there's a couple of people that are still part of it. And they, try to put them up. They call it the Jaffa Brothers or something. Nah, I didn't look them up. They just keep throwing them at me. Facebook. Possibly, Luna's girlfriend or somebody affiliated with her. Trying to radicalize me. You're the ones that destroyed my family and destroyed my life. So don't act like your millionaire asses have some sort of issue with me because of something I've done. Destroyed my wife, destroyed my kids, destroyed the churches around me. You'll pay in hell, all of you. Have a laugh. Keep laughing. Somebody's got to speak the truth. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do.